Hello viewers, welcome to my channel IITJ Olympiad and AP Physics with Ambarish. And today I have brought another exciting challenge for all of you. The title of the challenge is The Lord of the Rings. So how's the challenge? Here it goes. A thin ring with a frictionless groove is rotating with a constant angular velocity omega about a fixed frictionless vertical axle which is powered. At t equal to 0, a bead assumed to be a point mass m welded in the groove at the same horizontal level as the center of the ring gets loose. Calculate the total contact force in the bead when it reaches the bottommost point, and also calculate the maximum permissible value of omega so that it does reach the bottommost point. So here we have a ring and there was a bead welded over here, and this bead got loose and then it will slide down and it comes to the bottommost point while the ring is rotating all the way through, and we have to find the contact force at the bottommost point. So if you like, you can try out this challenge for 5 to 10 minutes and then we'll see the solution right after this. Alright, so I'm going to present some important facts which are used in the solution of this challenge. So what are the facts? Now first, it's a very important fact. In rotating frames, the centrifugal force behaves just like spring forces of point springs with negative spring constant. Now why do I say that? If you look at the spring forces, what's the nature of spring forces? If it's a point spring and if you stretch it to a length L or length X, then the force exerted by the point spring is given as minus kx. Now what about the centrifugal forces? Centrifugal forces, if you are at a distance x from the axis of rotation, then the centrifugal force is m omega square x. And now you can look at the structure. Here you have m omega square x and here you have got minus kx. So that means what? The structure is pretty much the same, and so behavior from the energy point of view is also going to be pretty much the same, and we are going to see that in a short while. But you can see that centrifugal force is nothing but sort of a spring force with a negative spring constant m omega square. So we can say by comparison K effective for the centrifugal forces is minus m omega square. Alright, so we can propose a centrifugal potential energy parallel to the idea of a spring potential energy. So what's the centrifugal potential energy? In the rotating frames we can write centrifugal potential energy as minus half m omega square x square. So this idea is just parallel to your spring forces, that is half kx square. So that was fact number 1. Now another fact that you must be knowing for solving this problem is that Coriolis force in rotating frames is given by F Coriolis is minus 2m omega cross v rot. Now v rot is the velocity as seen from the rotating frame. So this is a standard formula for Coriolis force. I will try to do another video on this. For now we'll be using this result as it is without getting into the mathematical derivation of the Coriolis force. Alright, so now ready for the solution. Okay, so what we can do, so this bead is sliding over here, so it is losing the gravitational potential energy and it is gaining centrifugal potential energy. Why? Because initially it is farther away, so initially you can say minus half m omega square r square, and finally when it comes to the axis, the distance from the axis becomes 0 and the final centrifugal potential energy becomes 0. So centrifugal potential energy it is gaining, and the gravitational potential energy it is losing. So we can simply write energy conservation equation from the rotating frame, and this is what we get: mgr minus half m omega square r square, that's the centrifugal potential energy, that is equal to half m v rotating square, because from the rotating frame it will have some velocity over at the bottommost point. So this is what we can write for the energy equation. Alright, now what about the centripetal force equation from the rotating frame? So if you look at the rotating frame, then the ring appears to be stationary, and at the bottommost point the vertical acceleration of the bead appears to be simply mv square by r. So centripetal force equation will be, so n1 minus mg, that is equal to mv rotating square divided by r. Alright, because there are no pseudo forces in the vertical direction because the ring is rotating about the vertical axis. Okay, so the centripetal force equation. Then we can also see when the bead comes over here, so you can see that velocity is to the left, slightly to the left like this, and omega vector is like this. So you can calculate minus 2m omega cross v. So this bead is going to experience a sideways force. So it will be pressing against the wall of the this ring, and therefore that force has to be balanced by the normal reaction from the ring. So we can say, to balance the Coriolis force, we can see that N2 is twice m omega v rotating. Alright. So N1 and N2 are the two normal reactions, one from the base and the other one from the side of the ring. And now we have got three equations, so we can solve these three equations. So that's a simple job. We have three unknowns, N1, N2 and V rotating. So instead of solving for V rotating, I've solved for V rotating square. One and the same thing, because this is more convenient. I didn't want a square root over here. So V rotating square comes out to be 2gr minus omega square r square. And then N1 comes out to be 3mg minus m omega square r, and N2 comes out to be 2m omega under root of 2gr minus omega square r square. Just solving these three equations. So three unknowns and three equations. Alright. Now once I have the solution, we can see that this V rotating square cannot be negative. This has to be a positive value, right? Kinetic energy cannot be negative at the bottom. So that means what? Its right hand side term should also be greater than 0. So that straight away gives us the answer to the part 1, that is omega should be less than under root of 2g by r, just equating RHS to be greater than 0. So this is first part of the question. Alright. And then the second part was, what is the total contact force at the bottom? So total contact force is simply under root of n1 square plus n2 square, resultant of n1 and n2, because they are acting in mutually perpendicular directions. So and under root of n1 square plus n2 square, and that if you solve, just square these two and add them and take the square root, and this is what you get as the answer. So that was the solution to our challenge for today. I hope you liked the video, and if you did like the video, please remember to subscribe to my channel, and please share it with your friends. If you're a teacher, you can share it with your students, and if you are a student, you can share it with your fellow students who might benefit from this video, and please give it a thumbs up. So that's all for this video, and see you in the next video. Thank you very much.